Fuck yeah, I'm making the call. Hey, Domino. What up, Playa? Yeah, it's Kendall Roy.
Gabagool! Gabagool!
Gabagool, Wolf!
Fear! Fear!
Fear! Fear!
Yo, Domino, what up, Playa?
What up, player? What up, player? What up, player? What up, player?
Welcome back to the
Domino? Domino Maker.
We'll get into it.
Welcome back to Domino Maker.
Welcome to the Fear Podcast. Welcome to Domino Maker with
Welcome
our friend
to the Fear Podcast.
Luke.
Alright.
We have several things we're going over today.
We're talking about Love, Death, and Robots Season 3.
Domino, the 2005 movie.
Heavy Traffic, the Ralph Bakshi movie.
From the 70s.
And Nothing But Trouble.
Which was my recommendation.
Yes. The guest's pick.
Yes.
I think let's just jump right into Love, Death, and Robots Season 3, because this might be a long one, it might not be.
Can we try a reversing, actually? I was thinking we talked about Love, Death, and Robots at the end, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Flip,
Did you?
Yeah, no.
Flip the
Someone
script.
has a lot of thoughts on Someone has a lot of thoughts on
Yeah, I
Love,
think
Death,
it'd
and
be
Robots
easier
Season
to-
3.
No,
Easier.
someone just wants to get Domino out of the way as possible.
Yo, Domino,
That's
what a
perfectly
player.
Domino, what a
valid.
player.
The sad thing is that, like, it would be easy to get Nothing But Trouble out of the way first, because there's nothing to say about it.
Nothing but it'll
But
be fast.
Domino,
Yeah.
oh buddy, Domino.
Oh, buddy, let's get into it. Yo, Domino, what a player.
So I'm not even gonna do a plot recap because I don't even know what the fuck
I'm gonna try to go
Coleman,
through
you
the plot
try.
best as I can remember. Because this movie is stupid.
I'll fact check you based on the back.
So why don't we start out? Why did we watch Domino, the 2005 movie based on real life bounty hunter Domino Harvey?
Directed by
there's this character.
Director Tony Scott.
So there's this character called Lubba Hubbard.
So we have a D&D campaign, and he has a character named Domino.
Domino.
Yo, Domino, what up, player? And he says
That's all the thing. That's his catchphrase. Whenever he meets
Yeah.
someone,
He's
they're
named-
immediately like, "What up, player?"
He's named Domino because of that meme of the Succession characters.
Is that
trying to
actually
order
a
Dominoes.
meme, or is that just a video
That's
clip
just a
we
video
have hyper
we-
fixated on?
that's a
That's
video-
gonna be
that's
the
a video
intro
clip
for this
we
episode,
like.
so that everyone has seen it already, and I don't need to.
That's a
go
video
into it.
clip we like, and I thought far too much about, even though I have not seen even the second season of Succession at the time. But I just thought the last name Domino to like a sleazy con man character
It works. It
was
works very well.
worked too well, and the fact that he introduces himself by his last name. all the time.
Unfortunately, the movie Domino does not work very well. We bought this
We
at
bought
a
this
bargain bin on a trip to Colorado because the name
Entirely
was
because-
Domino,
entirely
and we
because
thought
the
it
name
would be
was
funny
Domino.
to watch
because we were hyped on the bit,
At this-
particularly
That was like
we
the
were
birth
also
of
we
the
were
bit.
also already planning to bring you on to talk about like,
Yeah.
Love, Death, and Robots.
because Love, Death, and Robots came
Yeah.
out like months
Yeah.
before that.
We're
Yeah.
very late.
We're
to
very
the
late.
party.
Let's
Bay,
talk
wake
about
up!
it.
Annual Love, Death, and Robots review with Luke.
Yeah, no. When Volume 4 eventually comes out in like 4 months at this point, because
So-
they never hype it up.
So Domino is. I'll just start with the back of the book. Pulses will pound, says Peter Travers of the Rolling Stone.
Noted 2 thumbs up by Roger Ebert.
I don't know why he liked this.
No. Noted 2 thumbs up by Roger Ebert's website.
Acclaimed filmmaker Tony Scott brings
Top
his,
Gun.
brings his. I like that it's not Top Gun. It doesn't say. It gives a different movie that
Wait,
he's
what
made.
other movie?
Man on Fire. I don't know what
Top Gun was too highbrow
Yeah.
that him being associated with Domino. They had to bring him down a
Tony
little
Scott brings his relentless visual style and rapid-fire storytelling. That is to say, incomprehensible editing and cuts, and
It's not
a
entirely
plot
inaccurate.
that doesn't like. This is a buttered-up description of this movie is just throwing things at you all the time, and it doesn't make any sense.
That's like calling a flashbang a visual spectacle.
Yeah, exactly. There's relentless visual style and rapid-fire storytelling to this gritty tale based on true events.
It's kind of
It literally had at the beginning, based on a true story. Sort of. Like,
Sort
that's
of.
what it said.
AKA,
In reality-
it's based off of it's based off of the fact that there is a Domino who is the daughter of a famous actor.
who is also a real life bounty hunter, who we'll get to on her story later because it's
I don't know
not
if funny is the right word, but
like
it's
I don't want to
Keira Knightley stars as Domino Harvey, LA's most notorious bounty hunter who left a life of privilege in Beverly Hills for a life of danger.
This is like GTA 6, but it got cut on like the
Oh,
bottom
it's
floor.
so unbelievably. So it opens with
GTA 6, but hold the G in the T.
It opens with this incredibly jarring sequence of the bounty hunters. I don't remember what they were doing, and it honestly doesn't matter.
They were trying to get the code from that one lady, and the
code was in that dude's arm.
No, it was on his arm.
And their way to get it was to cut off his arm. They fucked it up. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
And the reason we're getting ahead of ourselves is it's one of those movies that opens mid-story.
It's a real Persona 5.
In a way that is not understandable. What are you doing?
Oh, there's still plastic on this.
Okay.
Ignore me.
So it opens with this like already just baffling like weird sequence of this white trash lady freaking out about her dog and about this other guy.
Her dog, her son. She knows the names of every person that get inside her trailer.
Somehow.
It's
a standoff and everyone is yelling.
She immediately recognizes Domino and then also recognizes that she's the daughter of a famous actor.
The daughter of the famous actor thing, we're saying that like it matters. It doesn't. They never even directly name the actor.
The only thing that matters is that the home base of this bounty hunter group, which is their weird sugar daddy thing played by Mickey Rourke, and then
this absolutely insane guy called, what was it? Choco. That guy who
wait,
whose only personality traits are
he fixes his hair, maybe
messing with his hair, and like messing with his hair, being horny, and like psychotically breaking things.
He's weird.
He's the one who cuts the dude's arm off that we mentioned. At one point in the movie, he takes a CRT TV and drops it off a roof onto the.
No, he throws it.
He throws it off the roof onto a car of a guy trying to get away from it.
And then jumps on the car.
And then jumps down onto the car. He's feral.
He's actually feral. And they do this whole shtick of like, oh, he speaks Spanish. Like they make
this movie's very racist.
It's
I guess now is the time to say
let's open this. It's very misogynistic. It's very racist. It's very problematic. They do the post 9/11 thing of have a character named what was his name?
Oh yeah, one of the people in their bounty hunter.
I like how you had to remember that character like he wasn't one of the most racist parts of the movie.
Did they literally name him like Bombino or something?
No. Okay, so
worse.
his name, none of them could pronounce his name, so they nicknamed him Alf after the 90s sitcom character. Because he ate cats. Yeah, that's the joke. And he drives the bounty hunter's like bus. Basically, midway through the movie, he decorates the bus with like shrunken head skulls, which isn't even. That's not the racial stereotype. They are using the wrong racial. Yeah, he's supposed to be from Afghanistan. His only personality traits are bombs.
Yes,
he loves making bombs.
His entire backstory is that he used to make bombs as a kid to blow up the U.S. trucks as they passed by his village.
He made a lot of bombs. His name's Alf. They never learn his name. I wouldn't be surprised when he says things in English the last 5 minutes of the movie that the other three characters are like, huh?
Right, yeah. So they've got Alf, they've got Choco, they've got Domino, and they've got their boss.
The guy in the chair.
I don't remember his name.
And then the guy in the chair.
A truly awful
squad. Wait, you forgot about Kiki.
I actually genuinely did. Who the fuck is that?
The world's youngest grandmother who went on Jerry Springer.
Oh yes, no. A big subplot of this movie.
Letitia.
A big subplot of this movie is that there is so the plot of this movie, when you put it out like straight line, like as an elevator pitch, is not ununderstandable. It is a desperate woman who has a young because of stereotyping, make it that she's the youngest grandmother.
She's a black woman.
Her her character's in like a scene in the very beginning, but her proper character introduction when like this movie always does expedition to introduce each character, like Suicide Squad 2016.
It's very Suicide
Squad 2016 editing.
Very
I would not be
annoying.
surprised if the same editing house
But
made
when
the same Suicide Squad.
Letitia, is that you?
Yeah,
When
Letitia.
Letitia's character is introduced, she's introduced through Jerry Springer, which is always a great way to introduce your character like that. And they have this big spiel about like
she
mixed
calls herself
racist people.
Black Tino.
Oh god, that seems unbearable.
It's not Black Tino. It's the slur.
So we're
Tino.
watching a whole movie about Domino, bounty hunter.
She's in the first 10 minutes and the
we've
last
had
30
one
minutes.
scene with this character, Letitia. Then suddenly we are following her on a, as of this point,
She becomes the
completely
main
unrelated
character.
subplot. We follow her onto Jerry Springer, where she is talking about being Black Tino, and
It's not Black Tino.
No,
it's
it was
the
Black
slur.
Tino. The slur was a different combo of words.
That was
An audience member,
for mixed race
an
Chinese
audience
woman.
member stands up and is like, "You're not Black Tino," and then somehow it leads to her saying she's Chi
Don't say.
I'm
Grow.
I
I can't say the whole word, but that's the
It's
portmanteau
this
of
movie was written by a white guy.
yeah.
It was written by probably
And then this scene turns into incomprehensible yelling, as all the scenes do, and then
It's like 80 cuts a second.
yes.
It's way overexposed. When we watched it on DVD, the DVD looked
The
bad.
DVD looked
It-
worse
it-
than
like,
the,
when we
streaming
peeped it on-
version,
it looked like a failed attempt at like the Breaking Bad. Everything looks like piss filter.
Yeah.
Like someone,
But in this
like
movie,
someone
they use
actually
real piss.
Like someone just actually pissed on the film the film negatives, and it just turned like incomprehensible.
Also, the movie does.
It does look better on streaming, but unfortunately, that does mean you have to watch Domino.
Yeah, you shouldn't watch it anyway.
Do not watch this movie.
So, as we said earlier, it opens in media res. Then she gets caught and is being interrogated by this lady. Did we ever like?
this Asian like CIA lady who
okay,
is like lesbian coded?
I'm trying to remember.
Because Domino is like, oh, I bet you go to bed at night dreaming about eating me out or something. And it's like,
they're weird.
what the
They have
fuck?
stupid interactions. They don't even do this framing device.
No!
The whole
they
point
don't.
of a framing device like this is that eventually eventually you catch up to the interrogation scene, and then it becomes plot relevant.
Or it reframes the story that you were telling.
This
Frames
doesn't
because-
do anything that. They just wanted to start in the middle because this movie's made for 12-year-olds who can't handle not being
or like
immediately thrown
45-year-olds that are really trashy.
yeah, like trashy 45-year-olds.
Like there's
You're
an
both-
audience for this movie.
you're
like
you're
that
both
guy
wrong.
that I ran into in the airport.
No,
to go to
you're
Evansville,
both-
who was
you're
just
both
talking about
wrong.
selling weed.
You're both wrong about the target audience. The target audience is racist 15-year-olds.
Yes.
Yeah.
That had something for Keira Knightley in the year 2000.
Yeah.
Well, all 15.
Okay, early on in
yeah.
Keira Knightley's bounty hunting, after a horrible like origin story exposition segment where
I'm not like other girls.
yeah, and I'm not like other girls origin story.
I
where
think she literally says
we get like 3 different scenes that are all like weirdly don't make sense. That are like 3 different little things she was doing in her life before bounty hunting, and it doesn't make sense. Then she becomes a bounty hunter. She joins her team on the
Why was this story not about Letitia?
on the first mission with her
The
team.
real life story might have been. We didn't look into the real life
On-
story because there
Who
wasn't much
gives a
information
shit?
about the real life
On the
story.
first mission she goes on, she de-escalates a situation
By immediately
by giving a guy with the head lead
the guy they're
with
supposed to arrest.
a lap dance.
Not arrest,
they
just
wasn't-
collect his bounty.
A bunch of guys-
Because remember, these are bounty hunters.
A bunch
They're
of-
not even cops. These are people who collect people's bounty because who can't afford bail because they want
They
money.
they go to
The
collect.
movie
they-
treats them like they are like MCU level heroes.
They're like
the stupidest.
They're like
they-
the Guardians of the Galaxy.
They go to catch. They go to like collect a bounty on someone, and they get a bunch of guns pointed at them. And Domino de-escalates the situation by giving the main guy a lap dance.
I liked that scene up until he actually gave him the lap dance because I was like, she was like, I'll give you a lap dance, and he was like, what the fuck are are you talking about?
Yeah, his first
and then he actually gave her and he actually let them go, and it's like,
she's also
and it's
British.
like, what is happening? She also has nunchucks, but she never uses them until like the end of the movie.
She uses them at some point to break something.
So
she uses them not like you would use nunchucks.
So we slide into this so confusing, like weird mafia scheming plot, and the bounty hunter's boss, who like runs the bounty hunter organization, is playing both sides
because he wants to protect Letitia and get her the money, but he also has some honor and doesn't want to like leave his men out to die.
Yeah, so like Letitia needs this money that was stolen from her by these group of dudes called the First Ladies, because they're dressed up in First Lady President outfits, but then it's revealed that the First Ladies were actually Letitia and her friends, Lashandra and Lashindra.
And then their gay friend, who I bet is also named something
Yeah, the gay Hispanic friend.
His full name is
Shalandra.
This movie is very racist. It's not good. The funniest scene in this movie, though, is after it's revealed that the First Ladies are not actually the First Ladies, because they originally paint these random four-ass dudes
four-ass dudes who are the kids
who
of
got
like
fake licenses from Letitia.
And they're the kids of like these big mobsters, so that brings in these moggings that they literally, at one point in the movie, they have exposition trying to explain them to you, and they show you like chart graphics to connect them.
They show you Suicide Squad chart graphics.
And I'm like, what? How the fuck is anyone supposed to follow this? They only leave the charts on screen for like 2 seconds. Everything moves so fast. It's like, what is
on basis, a kid is sick, very sick, like terminally ill, and because Letitia's poor, she and her friends rob a bank. Or do they rob a bank?
No, they rob an armored car that I think was going to a bank.
They rob an armored car, and they, through DMV escalades, use fake licenses to blame 4 random kids that all turn out to be like sons of the mob.
So then they're in trouble with the mob.
So they're in trouble with the mob because the people they steal them from were originally... There was another mob that was originally going to try to steal the money.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Okay, so that sounds like a somewhat coherent plot.
That's like
except Letitia's not the main character.
Yeah,
it's Domino.
Okay.
So why the fuck are you telling us this?
And this. Well, that leads into one of the movie's other core problems. Domino and the bounty hunter team don't really accomplish anything.
They don't do anything until the end where they fuck everything up.
They are pulled through the plot by these outside forces we're discussing, and when they do take action independent of those forces, they fuck something up.
Yeah. When they kidnap those 2 celebrities that the filming crew brought on to make
another subplot is that
there's a filming crew following
Christopher Walken, who's like a slimy LA Hollywood business guy, who's not the worst character.
No,
it's 2 hours.
No, like because it's like he's crystal clear about his intentions with this. He's like, Domino's so marketable. We can make $1 billion off of
So essentially, what they
want
to do is because Domino's so famous through established exposition. And showing one scene where they do something successfully. This Hollywood exec wants to make like a cops or sort of like a
Doug the Bounty Hunter style show.
A Spike bounty hunting like show that like follows them as they arrest. They don't arrest because they're bounty hunters.
They collect bounties on poor people.
They punish poor people.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
They punish poor people.
That's what you get for not being rich enough.
And they want to make a show about that. So the show is a big plot of the movie, and there are multiple side characters that are from the TV show plotline that are kept on as comic relief
literally from 90210
and stay on for far too long than what they need to.
Are those the celebrity hostages?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So
don't try to explain Domino's relationship to 20910. It's not worth.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Just know that for some reason she has one.
She has beef with it. but they take these celebrity hostages, the 90210 people, and they take them to their meeting with the mob bosses at the end.
Why Domino is chosen to be the one that gives the mob the money and not the FBI, who are also characters watching all this go down.
Who struck a deal with the guy in the chair. They're like boss's boss.
Yeah.
It sounds like we're just like misremembering things. This is pretty straightforward.
This doesn't make sense.
This is literally what happened.
None of it makes sense.
We haven't even gotten to when they take peyote.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the like car crash followed by sex scene in the desert.
Sex scene, car crash in the desert. I wanted to mention the funniest part of this movie is when one of the 4 mob kids that takes the fall for Letitia's crew is this like weird sex addict like recovery guy, and there's a scene where they have this like
he's so horny.
Because okay, so part of the movie at some point in this chain link fence of bullshit, Domino and the bounty hunters have to go capture. And keep in mind, these people aren't cops. I don't know what the rules and laws are of bounty hunters, people like arresting and holding people hostage.
Who cares? This movie doesn't.
This movie doesn't. They can citizens arrest them, but they essentially just tie up these 4 kids who are taking the fall. I don't know if it's intentionally or unintentionally from what Letitia did. So these 4 kids, one of them, all 4 of them have to be caught, which is how we got the TV scene at some point.
And then another one is caught because he's at the sex thing?
Yeah.
Sex
He's at the
sex addict.
He's at the
So they open it.
It's like alcohol.
Club.
Yeah.
It's like Alcoholics Anonymous, but for sex addicts. And it opens in the most awkward. It's not clearly meant to be funny. I don't think it's meant to be.
No, I think it's meant to be funny. I just don't think
it's funny for the reason they think it is.
Yeah.
So, they think it's funny because sex, haha, but it's just funny because it's weird and off-putting.
It's so because this movie is weird and off-putting.
The scene just opens on just this high-octane action.
My name is
action.
My name is George Wilkins, and I'm a sex addict.
And he plays this.
Me so horny. Me so horny.
He literally like walks up. It's silent. The movie is silent for like seconds.
Yeah.
Let this guy talk.
Like you think he's gonna say something important.
No. It's so weird because this movie's editing style is so rapid paced that when it randomly slows down, that becomes off-putting. You're
it's not slowed down on purpose. It's clear that it's just like, okay, we don't need to highly edit this scene, so we're not.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem purposeful.
Yeah.
So it slows down, and I don't. Is his name actually like?
No, it's John Nobody.
It's random white guy name. And
I think it's got like maybe a Polish last name.
Yeah, because he's mob. But he's like, and
they're all connected to like different mobs because this movie is already not confusing.
Yeah,
enough.
2 of them are like the kids of the first guy's mob.
Why was one of the mob guys taking phone calls in an undersea like?
Because it protected him from radio waves.
But why? That just made the exposition of that scene more confusing.
You could have just had a fucking non-traceable phone line.
It's funnier that way.
The other funniest scene in the movie is after the bounty hunter squad leaves this interaction with the like white trash lady that
they
was
get
in the
the
opening.
money.
They get the money. They get on their bus
after they
for some reason.
Okay.
You just remembered.
I remember what happened. So they have peyote. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Okay. They have peyote in their system, which drugs them and induces a car accident. The car accident is hilarious because it's poorly shot and it's like 8 different angles of different car crashes. One time they flip over, they fall down a cliff. Actually,
okay,
it doesn't make sense with the landscape.
Why
they changed directions 5 different times in this car crash.
Why they have peyote in their system is because after they get the money from the white trash lady, after using her son as a hostage and already admitting they shot off his arm or cut off his arm through
he shot it off.
They shot off his arm,
and then they threw it at her.
Because Choco heard Domino angrily say the code is in his arm, which is Domino being stupid and not like understanding.
A psychopath.
Because the phone line was breaking up, and instead of being rational and be like the phone, the code, arm,
Domino is no one in this movie is good at communicating. So Domino's like, here's the the code to the missing money is in a safe. The code is on the guy's arm that you have hostage. And Domino, upon hearing this, just gets randomly angry because this movie writes Domino that she gets randomly angry.
Because she's a woman scorned for some reason.
Yes, so she gets randomly angry and yells
she's
at
not
people
like
randomly. It's weird. It's dumb. So yeah, I'm getting there. I need to say this so it makes sense to me. So she tells the guys, the 2 other bounty hunter guys, they have multiple hostages at this point.
Yeah.
For no reason.
They're just running around being like insane.
They're running around literally just needing to be arrested. Domino, upon not wanting to look at the guy's arm, not wanting to do anything, she's just like, fuck you. It's in his arm. And then Shoko immediately is like, arm? And then shoots the guy's arm off. Which doesn't do anything.
It's his fucking like Winter Soldier.
So
like,
he goes Winter Soldier, undoes his hair, and then shoots the guy's arm off.
No, wait,
so
wait,
go to the guy's mom,
demonstrate.
who's the white trash woman.
It's time to get
who's holding the money.
serious.
They get the money after being like, we shot your son's arm off, and she's like, God fucking what? Okay, I'm giving you guys the money. Then the boss guy demands her to make them coffee, so she drugs them.
She drugs the coffee with peyote because because
why wouldn't you drug the people? Because just fucking shot your
writers wanted them to be high on peyote and crash the car, but they couldn't figure out how to organically make them take it. So the lady makes them coffee, I guess.
That was the most infuriating bullshit because it just shows that these characters are actually
That's the most
stupid.
obvious, like lazy writing, stupid.
Yeah, because they need to get on peyote and they need to crash and they need to.
Even though the crash didn't do anything because the fucking angel character shows up with a car.
There's this whole ongoing motif
of God.
Of Domino flipping a coin and like
heads you live. Here's literally the tagline: heads you live, tails you die. That comes up.
Motif is in like
two times. But this is entirely because she stole a coin from a communion wafer and then flipped it up in the air to like a fucking like.
And whenever it lands, it does a thing where it like Sherlock Robert Downey Jr. movie rewinds events that just happened, but it's unclear if that's like what does that mean in the context of this movie? It also happens twice.
It also happens during the shootout.
I don't remember when either of the times are, but I remember
the first time is when she gives the lap dance.
Yes.
The second time is when she is during the shootout.
Yeah.
But she doesn't reverse time and change stuff.
Yeah.
She just reverses time.
It doesn't make sense.
She's also not reversing time. We must clarify.
Yeah.
It's just stupid.
It's like her. I think it's her like laying out differences.
It's her discombobulating.
She has the world's worst,
but it doesn't make sense. So they crash the bus in a very, very funny clip that I will probably add in here. That sound effect.
The bee.
After crashing the bus, her and Choco, who've had a will they won't they thing the entire time.
It's not a will they won't
No, it's not. It's a Choco is horny for her and she's not interested.
Or she is interested, but she's intentionally like trying to tease him or whatever. And while having sex with their boss.
And then so the bus crashes, and immediately after, her and Choco just get out of the bus and start like making out in the desert and stripping in the middle of the desert. And at this point, I've just got my head under a blanket. I'm like, what is going on?
Oh wait, I want to touch briefly on like the scene when they realize they're getting played, and then they go off the deep end, like, and they blow up.
Oh, when they blow up the obvious leftover movie set.
Yeah,
another thing.
But before that, like, there's a scene where Choco goes to confront their boss, and there is so much homoerotic tension in that scene. Like, they literally cut to the next day, and Choco comes out of the boss's room and is like putting on his clothes.
Choco gets rejected by Domino, and then gets an entire scene with Mickey Rourke, Boss Man, about how much they both want to fuck Domino.
She doesn't even reject him. Choco's just at her door like an annoying
He's just
dog,
like annoying her.
And she's just like, fuck off, Choco!
And that scene only exists.
And then he takes it as immediate sexual rejection and like almost kills the boss.
Yeah, Domino
all these characters are trashy.
Yeah, they're all suck.
Not
Domino has no characterization. This movie also loves to throw in like recurring motifs and use them in substitute of character development. Like Domino has a goldfish all the time.
She has a fucking goldfish
tattoo. I don't remember what. I don't remember what
she had a
the
fucking
narrative
pet
significance.
goldfish when she was a kid that died, so she flushed it down the drain, and
she keeps on getting
that's a
goldfish, and they
metaphor
keep fucking dying.
and that's the metaphor for life, because life is meaningless. Heads you live, tails you die.
Domino is a very bad movie.
It's
Domino
very bad.
is a very
Do we have
bad
any
movie.
closing thoughts?
Do
'Cause if
not
we keep
watch.
going-
Do not watch Domino.
Heads you live, tails you exercise.
The funny
Or
clips.
you watch this movie.
Wait,
Yes.
we're not. We didn't. We didn't even. We still didn't finish the punchline of the bad celebrity hostages storyline.
Okay.
Because they take the celebrity hostages to their final meeting with all the mafia bosses.
Because they're like,
and the mafia bosses are like, why the fuck did you bring them here? And Domino's like,
celebrity hostages, less likely to kill
yeah,
us.
you're not gonna kill us if there's celebrity hostages around. And the mafia bosses are like, what the fuck are you talking about? And literally just let the hostages go. They just let them leave.
The mafia are better heroes than our heroes.
Because
the bounty hunters
are actually stupid.
Why did they kidnap them?
If we kidnap celebrities, the mafia.
In conclusion, Domino is a country of multitudes.
I don't know what that means.
It's a reference.
Neither of those Domino. Do we want to?
Oh yeah, also the we didn't mention
So-
that the Afghani bus driver
blows himself up.
He steals the money, then
he
blows
tries to
himself
steal
up.
the money and
He
blow
does
everybody
steal
up.
the money. He's successful in
He
stealing.
steals all
Right,
the money
to give
except
back
for
to his
except for what Domino gives to Letitia
Yes.
to pay for her
And
daughter's
he's
surgery.
fucking suicide
Granddaughter's
bombs the
surgery.
third act.
Suicide bombs. He blows up. It's not the Space Needle, but
It's
it looks like
whatever
something.
whatever
Las
city
Vegas.
version of that
It's
was.
Las
Yeah.
Vegas Space
Yes.
Needle.
He blows it up and
He
then
blows it up, and then he ships all the money in raw $100 bills to Afghani children, which
except
will
the money
definitely
which
not last.
Letitia needed.
Except the money that Letitia needed, which
Yeah.
will not last, and is very dumb.
That's gonna get confiscated as soon as they go to convert that into Afghani
Or
money.
like, what are Afghani children in a war zone getting used with $100 bills?
$100 US dollars.
$100 US bills. That's not gonna buy them much food.
This 2-hour
Also,
movie.
remember, this entire plot hinges on like the US military being like, we've got to get that 200 million back, and it's like
It's not 200 million. It's like 20 million.
we got to get that 20 million.
It's not. It's not a lot of money.
It's
in
not
government
enough
funding.
It's
scale.
not enough money for the like, CIA to be like,
It's like half the
we
budget
gotta-
of this movie.
we gotta do whatever it
Yeah,
takes
no,
to get
the
this back.
amount
It's
of like random weird we cannot discuss this topic. That's under classification. I'm like, it's $10-20
This
million
movie just goes on
That much
and
money goes
on
missing in
and
a day
on
at the
and
CIA.
on and on, just like our discussion of this movie and our
Yes, yeah.
shit talking this movie
I
could
think
just go
we should
on
close-
and on.
I
and
think we
on
should
and
close the discussion about Domino by talking about the real life Domino.
Yes, the real life Domino Harvey, who died before the movie came out
on a fentanyl.
from a fentanyl overdose.
So, it's the fentanyl overdose is not funny. What is funny is that the movie's credits feature not the actor's full name, but only their first name.
That was so weird.
We didn't figure it out until
they show shots of the characters and it'll just say like Kira,
Yeah,
Mickey,
And we didn't get that until Christopher Walken came up, and it was a picture of Christopher Walken and it just said Chris.
yeah, which is, I don't think that's even like.
That's not that bad. It's just jarring.
It's just strange, and like they're gonna have to show their full names later. In
Yeah,
the
no,
credits
because
anyway.
they do the whole scroll credits. But finally,
no way-
at the very end, it's like Domino because it's
Dedicated to our friend Domino.
Domino.
Oh right, but they show footage of Domino.
They
at
show
the end of that
the real
montage, the real
Domino.
Domino.
And then immediately after the footage of the real Domino, it immediately flash cuts to In Loving Memory of Domino Harvey, and we're just like, wait, she's dead? And then it turns out she overdosed a few months before the movie came out.
Well, that means she never got to see it, which sounds like a W for her.
Yeah.
And with that, we will move on to Heavy Traffic, which shouldn't take us 30 minutes to talk about.
Heavy
Domino
Traffic.
is just very
Domino
irritating.
is a 0 out of 3.
Yes.
Heavy Traffic.
I fucking hate
Get your out of 3 rating system out of our podcast.
I rate
There
movies
is
out of
only one
3.
rating system that matters on the Fear podcast, exorcised or non-exorcised.
And Domino will be exorcised.
It definitely will. You
Heavy Traffic.
A few more movies.
This is a 1975. This is a 1973.
Okay.
Right there.
Always trust the Kirk.
1973 Ralph Bakshi X-rated animated movie. The second.
It's not actual porn. We didn't just sit down and watch porn.
No.
It's just.
No, it's X-rated because this is like before, like it's hard. It's harder than an R, but like this is before like.
Ralph
NC-17
Bakshi also just loves his comedic boobs and penises.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically us. He just makes replace boobs and penises with pee-pee, poo-poo, and it would be us.
Feet. Poo-poo feet.
Pee-pee, feet
Show your
pics.
feet to the camera.
No.
So Heavy Traffic it's not really necessarily like a story. It's like following this guy, the life of this guy, Michael.
Vignette movies.
Yeah, it's a vignette movie about this guy, Michael, and
You might be turned slightly out of frame where you're like turned right now, because I had to move the camera over earlier to.
It follows the life of Michael and I cannot remember. Carolyn. And as they sort of like try to make things work for themselves in the streets of like New York, like the real sort of slummy streets of New York, and like it's
very grimy.
It's a vignette style portrait of New York life.
Yes.
Specifically of like immigrant life.
Yeah.
Jewish immigrant life in New York,
In
because
the
it's sort of autobiographical
Yeah, the main character is kind of like
Ralph
He's a
Bakshi's experience.
He's a cartoonist.
Yeah, and
he's
a horny
from a
cartoonist
Jewish immigrant family.
from a Jewish immigrant family, and I don't know if Ralph Bakshi has issues with his dad, but Michael sure does.
Michael's dad is one of the
actual
most
Nazi
hateable characters.
Oh yeah. And it's
actual Nazi who works for the mafia and canonically has like only employs black people because it's the closest thing he can get to slavery nowadays.
And when Michael starts dating a black person, spoilers.
He literally
from the
puts out a
plot.
hit on his son.
And yeah, okay, so we've watched a couple Ralph Bakshi movies before. They always have interesting
my first
stuff.
Bakshi.
This is your first.
This
This
is
is
my
your first
Bakshi
Bakshi pilling.
Yeah, no.
Bakshi
What did you
pilling.
think?
I thought it was a good movie. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you say? It's about Ralph Bakshi. The animation's always like bizarre, real.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
his movies are always produced on a shoestring budget, but because like they're like his movies are like $1 million or less, anything they make back is profit.
Yeah.
I like the characters. I like the.
I love the live action motifs.
There's
There's
bits of
this
live action,
pinball
too,
thing
yeah.
where
There's this running motif in the film. Another film's running motifs, but this one actually works.
A movie that actually understands what those are.
Of a pinball game. Like it opens on a pinball game. There's other scenes with pinball in it,
and
then
the
it ends. It ends with a live action Michael losing a pinball game.
I love the end where the whole movie's animated.
My interpretation of the pinball motif is that life is like a pinball game. You get bounced around. You're never really in control. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and all you can really hope to do is try again and hope you're lucky.
And I think that also works well with the way. So the movie ends. It's weird that we're talking about the ending first, but I think the ending is one of the cool. Kind of ties together the themes.
Yeah.
Because so as we said, Michael, the main character, gets shot by like a hitman sent by his father,
who was also like doing the job because he had a crush on Caroline, but Caroline rejected him because he was a simp.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he was the little dude on the
He was the disabled Marine.
Yeah, he didn't.
And like he's canonically, I think he's canonically a disabled Marine who
from World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he shoots Michael, and then Michael dies, and then we cut to
real
live action, and so we have real Michael
and
going
real
around
Caroline.
real New York, and he runs into real Carolyn and asks her out.
And then at first she kind of like rejects him, and like so Michael walks away dejected, and then like we see him get back to his home, and he's like, "Fuck it," and runs back out.
It has
and
this
runs back
nice
to
like
try
life
to win her.
imitates art kind of message towards the end that I thought was really cool.
And other than that, it's just like a lot of like scenes about like here's what it's like to be a black person in New York. Here's what it's like to be a gay person in New York.
I think one of the most attractive parts of this movie, and this is just a thing I have for a lot of movies, like weird movies, like Basket Case and like Blues Brothers and like maybe like Ghostbusters in a weird way, is that this movie's a great time capsule for New York life in the early 70s.
Yeah.
It's a very specific window.
That brief period where like there was some optimism because like, oh, things are getting better, but also like you could tell that things were about to get much worse.
Yeah, no, they're coming off the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I will say
the Vietnam War is almost over.
Yeah.
Like
Was it still going on in 82, 83?
It ends in 1974.
Okay.
Oh,
So, yeah.
Like it was the last.
Damn.
Like the reason people didn't give a shit about Watergate until like Woodward and
History
Bob Woodward like kept digging and was like, no, this shit goes deep, is because they were too busy worrying about the Vietnam War. Because it's like
this box art makes everyone look so much whiter than they are in the movie.
yeah,
Yes,
they like even whitewash the black characters.
But no, it's a good time lapse time, and I find that just incredibly.
There are some things in the movie that don't age well, as is typical of a raunchy adult animated movie from 50 years ago.
And Batchkey loves making those, so a lot of his movies have elements that do not age
very
well.
heavy slur usage.
There's
I forget the character's name, but there's
But you can always tell like when a slur usage is done in good faith versus done in bad faith.
Yeah, there are different versions in this movie.
there's a gay character. I don't know their name. But this was definitely in the era of like cross dressers and like,
it's both kind. It's more humane than you would think.
it's far more humane. Like the character doesn't get like
it's a stereo.
Someone beats them. I'm gonna use them because I can't. I don't know if they're actually he him or she her. Because like
it's a weird
they're
thing
in that
like all trans women or like people
that they're in that time period where trans just meant somewhere in between.
It's a very stereotypical drag queen character of that era, but it's not
It doesn't like paint her as villainous or creepy.
She's just a person.
No, the one person that like treats her poorly or treats them poorly gets
like
immediately their comeuppance like within the next like 20 it's like 30 seconds afterwards. It's odd. It's without a doubt it does not age well, but it is oddly progressive for 1970.
Like this is I think this is before Rocky Horror Picture Show, just to put that
before Rocky Horror Picture Show
in perspective.
50 years ago.
What's his name?
This
was before like many of like the gay
this is
the
only
gay rights movements of the 70s.
This is only a few years after Stonewall.
It's oddly progressive and straight.
So gay rights had only just like the gay rights movement had only just entered mainstream.
It's like very progressive
societal America.
It's very progressive for 1972, but that means it's progressive for 1972. I know I'm saying 72. I'm just like saying the year.
Well, it was probably made mostly in 1972, just produced and released.
But those elements that don't age well aside, I think it's a pretty good movie. In the terms of the Ralph Bakshi like movie of all the ones we watched,
it's hard to say because like
invite me when you guys do the Lord of the Rings one.
The Lord of the Rings one's fun.
I don't like it as much as Wizards, but I liked it more than American. What was
American Pop.
American Pop.
You see,
Felix yet?
Not yet.
No,
I was hoping to save that for Toby. If we could add Toby,
that'd be fun.
If we could get Toby on for an episode. Quick talk about Felix the Cat, the first ever animated X-rated.
Heavy Traffic was his second one, right?
Yeah, second one, and I think the third X-rated animated movie overall. Like
and Monopoly on that at that point.
For a while, he was the guy who was legitimizing adult animation.
He's basically
this movie does have a strong legacy because you can trace a direct line from like this movie's humor style and artwork to basically directly to Family Guy.
There's a lot of like
not that it's Family Guy.
No, it's not Family Guy quality, but like you can tell.
It's like seeing a picture of a gorilla and being like, oh, I can see the human elements.
There's like cutaway jokes and that kind of like
they are, and like there are moments where the art style gets kind of a bit more like rigid, and you're like, oh, that almost looks like an early season Family Guy character.
It's a very interesting movie. What were you gonna say? Because I was gonna. I like it better. I like it less than Wizards.
I'm still very fond of American Pop because I like how it's like a portrait into the history of America through the history of American music and how that relates to the musicians who created it. But I would say I think I like this maybe on the same level as Wizards, just for different reasons. Wizards is a bit probably his most artistic movie until like he starts doing Lord of the Rings and gets really big into rotoscoping.
Wizards is like sci-fi, like post-apocalyptic fantasy.
Is it akin to this weird moment where Michael talks to the guy about his god comic?
Yes.
It is, yeah.
It's
very,
very
the
Wizards.
premise of that scene in Heavy Traffic was adapted and turned into the premise for Wizards.
That was like he was probably writing that scene and I'm like, Brash was probably writing that scene and was like, that would make for a good fantasy movie.
Yeah.
This will come in handy later.
Yeah, it's a
This
surprise.
is a surprise tool that will help us later.
Yeah, but like I like Wizards because of its world building. I like Heavy Traffic because of its like character writing.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah,
that's an accurate description.
All right.
Checking the camera, that's gonna get you nothing but trouble.
Okay, let's talk
9/11.
9/11. Oh yeah, the movie. So Nothing But Trouble opens with the title card over a New York City landscape shot of the Twin Towers.
It's perfectly timed.
It says nothing but trouble.
Like they
Twin
literally
Towers.
like they literally like wait to show the title
It
like after
fades
they do like the directed
fades in
by
perfectly.
credits,
Yeah.
just so they can get it on the Twin
And that
Towers.
is
Not actually, because this movie predates it.
No, it's from the It's
Yes.
from 1990.
So this
Yeah.
is Dan Aykroyd's.
Before we talk about the movie,
There's
let's
some funny
talk.
shit on the
Let's
wiki.
talk about the
Yes.
wiki.
So,
Hold
for
on.
reference, I'm just gonna
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
go
talk about
ahead,
like
talk
some-
about all.
This movie was made when Dan Aykroyd was trusted enough by a major studio to not fact check his script.
This is
or
back
have Harold Ramis edit it.
Yeah, this is back when Dan Aykroyd could do no wrong.
So, this is the Dan Aykroyd starred, produced, and directed movie with Chevy Chase, Demi Moore,
John Candy.
And
Candy,
Dan Aykroyd doing his best annoying old man character.
who he thinks it's really
He
funny.
thinks it's really
He thinks
funny
it's
and
funny.
nobody else does.
No,
The
guys,
the hardest I think we laughed about this movie was the Nothing But Trouble title cards over the 9/11.
Yeah.
That might have been the best
It's
joke.
really
It's the best
not-
joke.
It's
That
kind
might
of
have
just
been the
a
best
boring
joke in the movie,
overall.
and it wasn't even meant to
It's-
be a joke. It's just a joke
It's
in
a
hindsight.
bad comedy, not
It's
not the kind that makes you flinch, but
No.
the kind that just is like
That's
you're
just
just
boring.
sitting there awkwardly like
And
that wasn't
the
funny,
entire
Dan.
flaw of the movie is the script.
yes.
It's
the
everybody-
set design is great.
set design is great. The makeup's pretty
Even the
good.
premise is pretty fun.
The premise is pretty funny.
You can do a lot with a premise like that. I mean,
Basically,
the premise is basically Evil Dead.
It just-
group of wacky characters show up at a spooky location and get like haunted by monsters.
It's just two things. It wasn't funny, and
It
it
wasn't
was not
really
casted
scary.
well.
Yes.
It was. I don't think it's really trying. It was.
It wasn't trying to be scary, but it was trying to go for that kind of dark comedy stuff
Yeah.
that like
When they-
Evil Dead 2 and
when
Army
they-
of
Ghostbusters
Darkness
is-
When they in the production section of the Wikipedia article
Oh,
for
yes,
this movie reveals a lot.
The production.
It was-
the production's funny.
So Aykroyd offered the script to John Hughes, who turned it down because he only directed his own script. I'm pretty sure that was the nice way of turning Dan Aykroyd down.
To be fair, that was
That
John
is true.
Hughes' thing.
John
he did not.
John
direct if he
Landis.
did not
John
write the script.
Landis also disliked the script and immediately turned it down.
But that's because he wasn't allowed to kill anyone.
Yeah, he wasn't allowed to kill any of the extras in the side.
So after two different people turned this project down, with no director attached, Aykroyd said he would direct the film to secure the deal, even though he didn't want to direct the film. That is
a
a direct
fucking
quote
hint.
from this Wikipedia article.
That was-
Aykroyd later agreed to play the giant adult baby Bobo as well, which is this cursed, like, giant baby
It's
creature
disgusting. Right here.
that shows up halfway through
It's
the movie.
disgusting.
There's two of them, and they're just, like, weird.
They're disgusting, weird, and not funny.
So, Aykroyd was playing an old man in extensive old man makeup, and a giant baby in extensive giant baby makeup, and trying to direct this movie at the same time.
I desperately want to find stills of him
Directing
in
it.
the,
Oh, yeah,
in the judge makeup.
Yeah.
like the
directing
Taco
people.
Waititi meme
Yeah.
with like Ragnarok.
So
Yeah.
all that is
I'm
to
gonna
say
check
that,
that,
like, Aykroyd, honestly, it's a wonder that this movie is, like, somewhat competently shot and directed.
Because this is his first
Because he's never,
directorial debut.
yeah, this is his directorial
Honestly,
debut.
he's not a like based on this, he's not a terrible director.
Yeah.
everything is competently done, which is more than you can say for a lot of directors.
More than you can say for Domino.
More than you can say for Domino. More than you can fucking say for Meet the Feebles.
Is this movie worse than Meet the Feebles?
No.
Okay.
No.
Not even close.
I don't even think Domino is worse than Meet the Feebles.
Meet the Feebles continues to be our bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, it's pretty bottom of the barrel.
The only behind-the-scenes pictures I can seemingly find are
just giant adult baby Bobo. So So Dan Aykroyd just like. So that's where the problem, I think, the primary problem of this movie is they wanted to make a horror comedy, but they didn't have anybody working on it that actually knew how to make a horror comedy.
No.
So it's just like a comedy.
The closest is probably Dan Aykroyd because he did some script work on Ghostbusters, and I'm using some script work.
Yes.
Very generous.
And even Ghostbusters is pretty loosely a horror.
It is a comedy movie with horror elements.
And this movie is also technically that, but it's just so goofy and cartoonish that it completely fails to have any level of like scare factor.
And there is no, and
not even spook factor.
But it's also not. It also detracts from the comedy because there is no normal world to subvert your expectations on.
Yeah,
everything's goofy from the beginning, but it's never like cartoonish.
Even Chevy Chase's character is like a comedically goofy businessman.
Goofy, though. Chevy Chase is phoning it in this movie.
Everybody's phoning it in except Aykroyd.
Everyone's just playing themselves in this movie, which is they're phoning it in. Chevy Chase always phones it in. It's just that he's worse. It's just that he's a bad actor.
He's not elevating the bad script.
None of them are, but he's
so basically the plot of this movie can be summed up very quickly. Chevy Chase and this girl that he's trying to get with, and his two annoying friends from Brazil go on a drive to Atlantic City for some subplot. I don't remember the subplot.
Financial bullshit.
They get pulled over and like stopped in this weird town called Vulcanvania that is basically just a giant junkyard with a manor in the middle.
That's kind of funny.
That is, but the set design. I like the set design. I like the premise. And then they're in this weird like cartoon house.
Trying to escape
the crazy judge who was going to kill them.
And John Candy plays both the cop that caught them and the daughter of the judge.
It's a decent concept. I feel like someone like Sam Raimi could have made it actually interesting.
Sam Raimi would have been perfect to get for this, but I
don't think he would have wanted to.
They never could.
Because like the script is just bad.
The script is bad. The
script's bad, and everything about it is just neutered.
Like when people, a lot of that is because the script is just.
Also, like when people die in this movie, like a group of like drunk drivers get thrown in this thing called the Bone Scraper.
He's got this weird roller coaster.
Which is a
funny concept.
Yeah, but the thing is, it looks just goofy.
It
doesn't look realistic.
It's all
when their like bodies are plopped out, it's so obvious, just like stupid prop bones. They're like, okay, if that was realistic, that might be a little bit.
There's only one like decent joke in this script, pretty good joke, and it's when a group of like hip hop artists get stopped in the town, and you think
they offer to do a performance.
Yeah, and you think the second they're introduced, you're like, okay, the old man judge is gonna hate them and then kill them because he's racist and he thinks hip hop isn't real music. But then he actually loves their music.
He starts jamming
to their music, and then he's like...
And then he asks them to do the wedding song for his daughter.
Because he's forcing Chevy Chase to marry his daughter. So it's like, that's the one good joke is,
that's the one good intentional joke.
Yeah,
the 9/11 joke was pretty funny.
There were decent visual gags peppered throughout, but that's the one good, like, in the script.
Again, the production was
great.
really good.
They
spent a lot of money on it, and you can tell.
I don't know if they needed Harold
40 million.
Ramis.
They spent 40 million and made like 8 million?
No, this is one of the biggest bombs ever to create. Yeah, the budget was 4 million and it made worldwide 8.1.
40 million.
I don't think that's adjusting for advertising, but I don't know how much advertising was done in 91, 92.
So any of it, even a little bit of advertising, like, is going to make that even
Maybe
worse.
you should have taken the hint, Dan.
It has a worse run.
when nobody wants to direct the movie idea you came up with.
When John Hughes and John Landis turned you down,
he might have gotten fucked by a deal.
And I guarantee a few other people also turned this down before Dan Aykroyd was like, "All right, I'll direct."
Yeah.
I can't imagine it.
He called Harold and he's like, "Hey Harold."
Hey,
Harold's like,
Harold.
"Don't even."
I have to imagine.
They sent the script over.
I have to imagine his directing wasn't anything special. They just had a talented DP and a talented like the rest of the behind the scenes crew was able to like
the makeup was
well because like the actors like he's not directing the actors because they're all just
clearly
they're all phoning it in and none of them are phoning it in like none
when
of them
Dan Aykroyd's character is introduced, the judge, it's literally just him sitting on a podium doing an old man bit while all the other characters / actors watch bored.
Like
that,
and you're also bored in the audience.
Black face, no expression. They're not even horrified. They're just like
they're just like, what?
I think it's because when the scenes I'm not saying that these are particularly more funny. They're just the actors are giving more of a shit when Dan Aykroyd is not in the scene with them. Like in the movie, in the beginning when they're like in New York, and then when they're in like the cop chase.
Do you think the actors
like sitting amongst themselves? You can tell that like okay, there's actually a director
just frustrated because they knew the script was bad and they knew that he was like
trying to make it work.
And he's like out there chewing scenery so painfully, and they're all.
He is trying so hard, and they all. And like I think you could tell they all hate him.
John Candy is the most along with it.
Well, John Candy's like just a naturally
he's
a good-natured and a naturally funny guy.
Yeah.
So even him phoning it in, or at the very least barely going along with it, is still kind of.
I do like when they escape at the end, they then get the police and come back, which I kind of like because that's the thing we never see in
that was
like
actually
this.
A decent joke. I like that when it turns out when like they get the police, they bring him back, which already is like subversive, which you're right.
Already subversive.
And then Chevy I don't know the character's name, so Chevy Chase and Demi Moore go up to get the Reverend, and he acts like all sick and frail for a second. You're like, oh, he's doing this bullshit. And he's like, hi, y'all. And then all the cops are like, hi, Judge!
And he's in all of their pockets.
That was
funny.
Just
let him
I like that.
And then the house gets destroyed by a fault because they're on a fault line.
See, here's another thing. They could have been in this like weird demonic, spiritual, supernatural bullshit. They could have just done
take a supernatural. There's no supernatural.
Because the Reverend's like, oh yeah, no, when I killed people in World War I, and like,
he's like 100. He's like
has to be over 100 at this point.
No, he's just
like wandering
he's
around.
Old. He's just old and kind of gremlin.
They even have that weird scene where Chevy Chase is looking at him through the gap in the wall, and he's like taking off his skin or something. Like he takes off his fake nose. That could have been a setup for something. I don't know.
But no, grandchildren, but no regular children.
Nothing but trouble.
Nothing.
More like nothing but
mid.
Bad joke.
It's a
nothing
1 out
but
of 3.
Mid.
L.
It's a 1 out of 3.
You know what? L.
LDR. Okay, speaking
robots.
of mid. I'm gonna say this before we start talking about any individual episodes. Can you pull up the episodes?
I'm pulling up the episode list. Yes, I am. Yes,
I am. This is the season that I have been the least interested in. I kind of had to force myself to watch the episodes. I don't know if this is true for my 2 other people. I feel okay.
We watched them together.
This season had no episodes that I loved, but none that I hated. You know, there was none that I loved as much as like.
I remember when me and
I really like the Bad Traveling.
Bad Traveling was the closest.
There's some.
I think if Bad Traveling had a slightly more interesting art style, it would have been in the love category. For me.
I liked its art style.
It looks good.
It's arcane shaped. It's arcane shaped.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But yeah, no, same thing. The first season's probably still my favorite because it has some. The first season
just has like 5 too many. Like
well, the first season has like 18, so a lot of them are duds, but the ones that
are good are great.
And then season 2
has a couple good ones.
You say season 3 is the most mid. Season 2 is really
Season 2 has a couple.
I can't think of a single one I done.
Season 2 had a couple.
Through the House and In the Grass.
Those are good.
I like both of those better than any of the ones.
Here's the issue with season 2. One of the longest ones was Snow in the Desert.
Oh
yeah, one of the most mid things.
Season 2 has 2 that I hate and 2 that I loved. Season 3 has 1 that I kind of almost love, and the rest I have very little strong opinions about.
I really liked the ones those two in season 2.
Yes.
But then like the rest are I completely forgot the rest of them. What even are they?
I only remember 2 from this season, which is a bad stat for this. I think Love, Death, and Robots needs to start getting more inventive with their shit.
Yeah, I
because
can only
here's
watch
the
so
thing.
many short films about military
I'm
guys
tired of
fighting
military.
a supernatural
I'm
threat.
tired of military guys being military bros killing shit. I'm tired of ultra-realistic person suffering in space.
Yeah, they have a lot of those too.
They have a lot of those.
Let's go through them right now.
Yeah,
Let's
no.
just go
So
through.
let's start
So
from
they
the
have
top.
Lucky
3
13.
robots.
They have Lucky 13.
Oh.
Don't talk about Lucky 13.
They
That's
have
volume 1. Go to volume 3.
Okay. Please. I'm just saying this. I think Love, Death, and Robots needs to start being like good and weirder in specific areas.
Yes.
Because this season had a sequel, which is the first
so
one.
the first one was
the
three
three
robots
robots
and
and
exit strategy, which was
It's not as good as the first one.
It was the first 3 robots again, but more forgettable just by virtue of it being a sequel that's doing the same things.
I don't like it's the. I don't know. I just think
3
like
robots roaming around the
think, like,
apocalypse, snarkily commenting on humans.
Yeah,
Okay,
what
well,
you got from the first one.
We have to address the elephant in the room. Is there ever been a comedy LDR short that's worked aside from the yogurt one from the first season?
I don't like the yogurt one.
You don't?
No, I don't like the yogurt one. Let me think about this for a second. All Through the House was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even consider that one a comedy.
I think it's like
horror comedy.
It's horror comedy.
Season 1 does not.
But like, there's ones that are clearly intentionally comedy and they're just not funny.
Yeah. I liked the automated customer service one from season 2. It wasn't great, but I liked it.
I just thought it was ugly.
We just diverge here. I liked season 2 more than season 3, and you liked season 3 more than season 2.
There was more interesting stuff in season 3, there's like that.
Well, let's continue.
So anything more about 3 robots? It just reiterates. Okay.
Bad traveling. My favorite
This
one.
one's probably my favorite. Second favorite.
I just love. Okay, so this one is a group of pirates, and they essentially have
I think they're just like.
I guess they weren't just pirates.
They were just normal like sailors. Or
it's a shark. They say sharkening register, so they're like werewolves and stuff.
Okay, yeah, it's been a bit since I watched it.
We get a small like.
This is also the longest one.
This one's 22 minutes.
And I did not mind the length.
This one gives you a small soup spoon of world building for this place, because you get like the weird shark oil people.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, that must be like a fuel thing for them, and it must be a dangerous thing because these ships don't look like.
I just remember
the primary thing I remember, because it's been about probably a week or 2 since I watched this one. This is one of the earlier ones. Is I love the premise of this ship captain deciding, basically against the wishes of the rest of his crew, to transport this. Basically, there's a very eldritch
He's playing
monster.
the crew, but he's also playing the monster.
He's also playing the sea monster. There's a sea monster trapped in his in their hull that is demanding that it be taken to
a town,
like the nearest town,
so it can give birth and eat all the people in the town. And then it's like up to the crew to be like, okay, but the monster's like, either it won't kill us, and we take it to the town, or we don't take it to the town and it won't.
And the crew is pretty much entirely like, we want to take it to the town.
Yeah, they're all pretty.
I love when he does the anonymous name draw thing. The captain's like, put your name in there's these anonymous slips, and if you mark X, that means you want to basically sacrifice the town. And if you mark circle, I don't know if those are the exact symbols, but if you mark circle, that means we need to take out take the beast somewhere else and kill him.
Yes.
And he claims they're anonymous, but then he's like, I folded the papers a specific way. You 3, you marked X. But then later in the episode, he reveals that everyone actually marked X. He didn't mark any specific sheets.
He's fully lying to fuck over his crew so they don't kill the town.
Yeah. Which is, I just love the concept of him having to work with this monster and work against his crew.
While also trying to kill this monster.
Also trying to outwit the monster.
While the monster eats someone every couple.
And all the betraying race to the monster.
Every night he feeds a member to the crew, and eventually he starts to start feeding 2 of them to it.
Yeah.
And it's it gets hungrier and hungrier, and then it's gave birth on the ship, and so it culminates with them like what him and like whatever surviving crew are left are like. We're not.
Are there any surviving crew?
Well, like
The captain survives.
okay.
Other than the captain.
Well, I mean, it culminates in like they're like we're gonna burn the like they almost get like they park just outside.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we need to destroy the ship. And so like they burn the whole ship down, and the captain just barely manages to get away while the crab dies. Well, the giant
crab
monster
thing
dies.
yes.
But then we see on the back of the boat, one baby made it. So
I mentioned earlier that I was sort of like, oh, if it had a better art style, I would have loved it.
I think
it had a good.
It had a great art style for what it was.
It's
It's
a-
a pretty realism.
I call it arcane shaped. It's more like what another thing that's very arcane adjacent, which is it has a very Dishonored art style of this sort of not steampunk but like Victorian punk.
It has a gritty realist style, but with a splash of kind of painter.
A sort of stylized realism.
Yes, and in a good way.
I really love that style.
Yeah.
I don't like the ultra realistic shit that a lot of the times Love, Death, Robots pulls.
This season
I have
is
to
better
assume-
about that.
Yeah,
I have to assume that they do that because they like to flex that they can make a real looking person.
This one had something very similar to what the Tall Grass had in season 2.
Yeah, it did. The Tall Grass was a little more arcane shaped.
It was
I
a
like
little
that we
bit
just
more
keep
arcane.
saying that as if it means anything.
Well, it's that
The
specific.
people who are not in this group have no context. Just essentially arcane style.
Arcane-esque.
But we call it arcane.
Well,
shape.
that style where it's 3D animated and like it looks like it's more realistically modeled than like a Pixar movie or something like that, or even like a Spider-Verse. But it's got like these like
honestly
like this like paintbrush aesthetic.
It has
to
this
it.
faux realistic.
Were you in the room in Colorado when we watched that Netflix movie, The Sea Beast?
Yeah.
This kind of looked like a gritty version of that.
Yes.
In terms of art
Its
style.
plot is also kind of a gritty.
Yeah.
Alright. I think, do we have anything else or do we want to move
No,
on?
I just don't want to say Bad Traveling was my
Then
favorite
there's
one.
the very pulse of the universe. The very pulse.
I
of the
like-
That was a
I
cool,
like that one.
that was a cool, trippy one.
I like this
it
one.
does fall under
It
the
does
category of
fall-
what you were talking about of person suffering in space.
But it's not photorealistic, which I like much better.
That's the one thing about this season that I will say is an absolute markup from the last. There's not any that are boring plot with boring art style.
That's fair. You might change that when we get to Swarm and then in the vaulted hall.
But neither of those are
Or like-
I completely forgot about the in the vaulted halls.
That
one sucked.
It was fine. I liked the
I
Eldritch
liked it.
monster, but it was
we're
certainly
getting
a
ahead
bad
of ourselves.
closer.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Go back to
It's
in
not
the
a closer.
halls of
The very pulses
the
of
very
machine.
pulse of pulse.
I love this one. I kind
Can't
of really
speak
like the
anymore.
trippiness of it. I
Yeah.
like the suffering oxygen thing. And I sort of like the weird, like, is the moon a living thing or is this person actually just tripping
Yeah.
balls or
Like,
dying?
Yeah, that was very nice.
Yeah.
And it
was
had
very
that.
nice.
And it had that like that.
It was performed well. The art style was good. I think this might have been the same studio that did Fish.
Yeah, I was thinking it has the Fish Night look.
Fish Night.
Wild colors,
They really
flowing
like.
movement.
They really
I'm
like
glad
to go.
I'm
big-
glad
big
this
on,
was
like,
our
trippy
person
visuals.
suffering in space one of the season.
Yeah, it was a good person.
Swarm kind of has that too, but Swarm is more a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Night
Speaking of Swarm, Night of the Mini Dead.
Night of the Mini Dead. It's like 7 minutes long.
This is a uber short one.
This
It's a joke.
it's a zombie. It's a zombie apocalypse. It's basically a zombie apocalypse fast forwarded and sped up with little miniatures going like climbing and eating things.
Cool.
I thought it was funny when I
It was
first watched
cute.
it.
It's a fun-
It's
it's
fine.
cute.
It ends.
It's fine and cute.
You could go to the bathroom and miss all of it. Like it's
you
very
cannot-
short.
I don't have critically much to say about something that's only
No,
4 to
it's
5 minutes.
Yes.
It doesn't overstay
It
as
could
well,
be a
but it's
YouTube
fine.
video.
Yeah, no, this could have been like literally like a corridor video.
That's kind
And
of
that's
the
not
problem.
a
That's-
dismissal.
Well, that's kind of
It
the
is
problem with
kind
all
of-
of LDR, where it's like you're putting all this money into this shit, and it's like you could just be uploading these. on
Yeah,
YouTube.
that's kind of the, and I'll make that point.
And
once
they'll
we
be
finish
and they'll be
talking about
faster,
episodes,
and they'll
but-
come out faster
Next,
and be like more.
Kill
one's
Team
this
Kill.
one's probably my least favorite.
Really? Even with the art style?
And the art style's the most like redeeming
I mean,
factor
I
of
don't-
it. I'm just tired of military
This
bro.
one is
bro.
military bros. This one is military bros who
Here's-
say fuck a lot fighting
Here's a hot
threat.
take. Here's a hot take. Call of Duty lobbies are not funny.
That is how they talk
Yeah.
in these ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
they don't say slurs, And it's like, this isn't like a,
But then,
Call
like,
of Duty
this-
lobbies are
this-
unsurvivable.
to give
It is just not fun.
To give you an
It's
idea
just-
of this one's humor style, it opens with one of the military dudes pissing
on the
and you,
camera?
yeah, just pissing on the. It's like
It's just
Piss.
It's just like, okay.
this one.
okay.
They fight a cool like cyber bear, and there's some like cool stuff, but this one is saved by its
The
art
art
style.
style
Style's really good. Its action design's really good.
It doesn't have the generic photorealistic style. If
Honestly,
it did,
the character design's actually better.
Yeah.
It could have been, the character design could have been much more generic.
That's what I say. If this one had the photorealistic art style, this would be my easy pick for the one that I hate. But because it has a good art style, I don't hate it. I didn't hate it.
That's my thing. If it's photorealistic and has a good story or characters, it can redeem for me. Like Pop Squad from season 2.
I didn't like
That-
that one.
I
That was
like
season
that.
1, wasn't it?
No, that's season 2. It's the one about the Last of Us.
I think I'm thinking of a different one. Oh, yeah, I am thinking of a different one. Never mind, that one was good.
That one was good, but that's photorealistic, but has a
Yeah.
good story. This one's just, it has good animation, but it has like a mid-ish.
Which
like,
is that, can
character
we
stuff.
skip to the other military one at the end? since we
Sure,
already brought it
okay.
up?
So second
There's,
last.
there's In Vaulted Halls Entombed,
I like this one much better.
which is this one has the photorealistic art style.
photorealism?
This is the other military one. Why do we still have more than one military one per season?
Because they love.
At least they're both not photorealism, like the werewolves one.
In Vaulted Halls was pretty close. It had some good. In Vaulted Halls has some cool eldritch stuff going on.
At the very end, most of it is
Yeah.
just
What I
them
like
running
about-
from
no.
monsters through fucking.
Here's the thing.
Hallways.
Here's the thing. What I like about In the Vaulted Halls is the setup of military squad goes into somewhere and it progressively just gets worse and worse and worse.
That's also true of a lot of them, though.
That's a lot of Eldritch Horde, which I
This
like.
one, okay, I'll put it this way. I like the premise of this one better than Kill Team Kill, or
Yes.
whatever the bear one was.
See, that's the thing.
But
I can get behind a better premise.
The premise is better, but the art style is worse.
I will also
like,
say,
that's the.
And
this might just.
I think
It also is longer,
It's
right?
only like 3 minutes.
I know,
longer,
and
so
I
that's
don't
not
like-
3 minutes is enough time in a short one.
And like at least like I didn't like their personalities, but at least Kill Team Kill had personalities.
That's fair. Yeah.
These guys were literally fucking white
See,
bread.
I'm just biased.
You're an
for-
Eldritch fan. So
I like
that's not
Eldritch.
really.
I will say, I like the taste of it. It's like okay, you go to have a place in it, and
I like Swarm.
everywhere
which
has
also-
coffee, but this
I like
one-
Swarm, which also
neither-
had an Eldritch energy.
Neither In Vaulted Halls nor Kill Team Kill were as bad as like the
werewolf.
the werewolf or the Lucky
Fucking werewolf.
13,
Lucky 13.
or the one from season 2 where it's Michael B. Jordan being chased by the dog.
That's a person in space suffering.
None of these ones in season 3, even the ones that use their
I will-
go-to plot tropes,
Yeah.
are as bad as ones from earlier seasons.
No, yeah, they're just a little bit more mid.
Yeah.
Whereas like maybe
That's where I come from
It's
when I say this is
consistently
the
a
most
6 to
mid
7 to
season.
8.
I didn't hate any episodes, but
Uh-huh.
I
See, for me, that was season 2 because I liked some of them fine, but I
But
didn't
some of them you
love.
didn't like.
I didn't love them, and I didn't hate the ones that were bad enough to really hate them. So
I
I'm
did.
like,
I
it was
did.
just mid.
Okay, speaking of Eldritch Horror, I think Swarm does
Swarm was
Eldritch
good.
Horror much better.
yeah, I like.
Swarm is really
Because in the Vaulted Halls, and can I go in a little mini
Yeah,
shot? Eldritch Horror divides into two major things. Either you get the whole like space is really big and you're insignificant, or it's just Squid Monster.
Yeah.
In Vaulted Halls, it's Squid Monster.
In Swarm, it's the
Swarm
vastness of
is vastness of space. You're insignificant. And there is body horror in it too, in the sort of sense that like we're gonna inhabit your mind.
So
and use
basically,
it to
it's the
take
plot.
over-
The
It's
plot
the
of Swarm is
trypophobia one.
the
We're gonna take over the human
Yeah.
race by inhabiting you guys.
The plot of Swarm is that these two researchers are studying this swarm of like
This
hive mind
creatures.
entity. Yes.
That like it's mostly these
They-
specific type of animals, but then there are
They've
other animals that have been
incorporated other
incorporated.
creatures that have found them, which is really
Yes.
good foreshadowing for what
Yes.
happens at the
Yeah.
end.
And here's what the thing does, and I like this a lot. It's long, and I think the first 5 minutes
It's pretty long.
Yeah,
It is pretty long. That's
I just
the
don't
only
like the whole
real
like,
flaw.
oh, they established the scientific characters going in.
Right.
That's the big flaw.
What they
Is that
fuck,
it's really
and I love this, is that the humans fuck up by immediately being like, we can use these hive minds as free labor.
Yeah,
And then the hive mind is like, what the fuck?
and then the
We're
hive
gonna
mind
use
is like,
you
we're
as
using you as free labor. LLL.
See, that's much
Yeah.
more
That's so-
Eldritch horror than what Vaulted Halls
Yeah,
is.
I like it.
And this is ultra realistic, but the thing is, it's mostly in space,
Yeah.
which is the thing where it's like, okay.
Also, it's ultra realistic, but it's obviously
It's a surreal setting.
it's going for horror, and most of the creatures are are hyper-realistic, like, weird monsters,
I
which
can appreciate
works.
hyper-realistic
I really
weird
like
monsters
this
in space more than just hyper-realistic people doing cool
Yeah.
things with the occasional monster.
Yeah.
Mason's Rats.
I like
That's
this
probably
one.
one of
That's
the
cute.
more forgettable ones, but it is a good one.
It's cute.
I enjoy the escalating. So basically, this dude
he's got
has
a rat
rats in his
infestation.
farm. So he calls up
An exterminator.
He calls up Love, Death, and Robots. Better Call Saul. This guy looks like Saul Goodman.
Was Bob Odenkirk?
I don't. It was not Bob
It's not
Odenkirk.
Bob
I would have
Odenkirk.
They
recognized
modeled
it.
it
But I was
on
like,
Bob
English.
this, yeah, they're all like English. And this guy basically gives the farmer extensively like apocalyptic, scary robot
Progressively
technology.
more aggressive robotic technology.
And as a response, the rats get more and more aggressive
Like-
and sentient.
There's literally like they form like the fucking like Che. There's like fucking a Che Guevara rat.
Yeah, this one is just a fun one.
This one.
I like that it ends too with the farmer like conceding to the rats,
And they're
being
like, okay.
and being like,
and then
yeah.
they kind of work together. It's,
Yeah.
It's nice.
There's one little detail I like in that one, and it's at one point he walks in and sees the rats fighting the like exterminator robot thing, and he says, "What is this? Some kind of World War IV?" Implying this is like a distant future where World War III has already happened.
Yeah.
That's just some fun, like, cute, subtle world.
Yeah.
And then the last one to talk about.
Yeah,
is
then there
Jabaro.
was Involted Home. Unfortunately, I watched these last two last night, which is unfortunate for me because I didn't really like either of the last two.
See, I love JIBARO.
I really like
I know I'm not pronouncing it correctly. It's not. It's
I know.
pronounced weird.
The last one is called JIBARO. I don't
It's
know how to
it's
say
about
it.
a bunch of knights that go into like this forest,
And they're
and
one,
then they get attacked by a siren.
but one of the knights is deaf,
So
and so
he's
there's this
immune.
whole interaction between the deaf knight and the siren. It's a very cool premise. The reason I didn't like it very much,
It just hit the wrong stim thing.
yes, it was disorienting art style to me. You've got a hyper realistic art style, but
With this
but
like paintery filler.
yeah, and like the characters look like video game characters that kind of move at a different frame rate from the rest. And there's a lot of like quick cuts and sort of weird jarring movements.
They animated shaky cam.
Yeah, they animated, and it's like I get that's what they were going for. I was just kind of like weirded out by it.
I like that because again they were going for making it weird, and I liked that it was weird and different.
Luke is right that I figured it out like 5 minutes in. I was like, this is just stimulating my brain in the wrong way.
Yeah, no, because the reason why you hate it is exactly why I like it.
Yeah, I was just like, this is
The
like.
sound design was also really good. Like,
Yeah.
the sound design was great.
I liked the sound design.
As is typical for a story about a deaf person, there has to be really good sound design to just compensate.
My one caveat with the sound design is they did a good job of showing his deaf perspective versus the sounds.
Yeah.
I wish they cut back and forth between them a little less. Like, give me more than 10 seconds at a time in the deaf person's brain.
Yeah.
Because that added to the jarringness of it for me. It was constantly going back and forth between quiet and metal jangling, loud, like, that worked. I liked the contrast between the two. I just didn't feel like I had enough. It was switching back and forth like twice as often as it needed to, and kind of throwing me off more in a way that I don't think was as intentional as like the visual jarring nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
But I think for you guys, this was probably like second best one.
I think it's just a thing where it's like these two different
Probably.
things than the bad traveling. I don't want
Yeah,
to say I have one that's like particularly.
fair. And JIBARO was certainly a very unique one. Hold on, just skip it.
We keep getting these stories about these fucking soldiers, and I do not care. I don't care how many like eldritch or fantasy or werewolf bells and whistles attached to it. I just do not care about John Army Man in hyper-realistic art style going off to fight war because war is bad.
The closing,
it's the
And
my closing.
and also I get it. It's Love, Death, and Robot. Well, no, actually, hang on.
It's
It's
not,
Love,
it's-
Death, and Robots.
it's-
So why do you care so much about space? And why do you care so much about people dying in
war,
space?
space, and robots.
The Virgin-
War, space, and robots.
the Virgin Love, Death, and Robots versus the Chad Robot Carnival.
Yeah.
You know,
it
I
continues
don't
to
want
be
to.
that
I don't
way.
want to be that guy. But at least with heavy metal,
No.
you got heavy metal.
Okay. all that is to say, my closing thoughts. I'm glad to hear you guys say this because I'm just going to get to my closing thoughts, which are, I don't really want to watch season 4, or at least not all of it. I'd rather just have you guys tell me which ones are worth watching if you guys want to watch them. Because I just don't, I had to kind of force myself through this volume.
Just
because
I don't. Robert Valley one.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
if
that
there's a Robert Valley one, I
very
will watch
tropey.
it.
Like, it's not hard to get a bunch of, like, just get a bunch of, like, people and just be like, hey, you guys want...
Get a bunch of...
Get
a bunch of students that need their first big break and let them... And give them a budget and let them go nuts.
I'm at the point where I'm going to look at season 4 on Netflix and, like, find the ones with interesting thumbnails or descriptions and click on those.
Yeah,
because I just
if it ever starts with a person is lost in space,
or has like guns in the thumbnail, like
John Army is lost in space.
I also just am not big on the short film. Like the thing about short films is it's hard to get an audience invested into a like 15-minute
short. And that's the thing that I kind of liked about season 1 and parts of season 2 is that some of them, like Sony's run, the monster fighting thing from season 1, that felt just like, oh, this is like a pilot to something.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of season 1 felt like failed pilots.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Except for that, there was one that didn't feel like a failed pilot. It just felt like
a movie,
like a self-contained movie.
Rant sped into a 15-minute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my kind of problem with the short film anthology structure of this show.
It's the greatest boon and bane of anthology projects. It's you get to cast a wide net of interesting artists to tell their own story, and I
just don't think
it's these little,
they're wasting something.
And it's
not interesting.
It's these little golden and these little golden nuggets that are self-contained and easy to digest, but they're also like you eat them and they're done, and it's a crapshoot if they're going to be good or not.
Here's the thing: it's not interesting anymore.
It's not interesting.
In season 1, we had I hate to just bring up the best one, but like we had Zima Blue.
I was trying to.
We had Zima Blue.
We had Sony's
Run. We had the gift. We had the witness.
The witness.
We had the witness. We had a bunch of like, and there were some bad ones too. But there were ones that were like, oh, that's cool. That's like stimulating. Oh, that's cool. That's fun to think about. And then you get to like season 3, and the only thing that's like. And the only thing that's like the only one in season 3 that I can think of that's like interesting or like thought provoking is Bad Travels.
Yeah.
Because we're like, oh wait, that kind of like gets the narrative. Whereas like some of these are just like, haha, army guy go piss.
Also,
like I'm getting tired of that.
Also,
it seems like that's what it's more gauged into and leaning towards.
This is pedantic, but I've said when I first watched the first season, if fucking call yourself something different because you don't care about exploring the themes of love, death, or robots.
Yeah,
they'll do like one robot episode a season,
and it's usually the comedy one.
Yeah.
And then the love is just sex, the death is just guns, the robot is just like space.
Yeah, it should be. It's sex, guns, and robots. Like that's actually.
It's just guns. It's the bimboification of love, death, and robots is continually stagnant.
It was there in the first season.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is
the thing is that there was so much in the first season that there was a wide variety.
In shrinking down the episode count, they haven't grafted off the.
They haven't grafted.
It's just getting more concentrated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I really hope for season 4. Just my wish list for season 4 is Robert Valley one because those are all like at least good. Just, I don't mind dumb action, but like make it interesting.
Make it visually interesting.
I just want more interesting things. I want things that I can think about and just more like sustaining media. Because otherwise, I'm like, this is like a Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
This is like a Call of Duty game, or this is just like a small, like, okay, they're lost in space sort of thing.
This discussion of love, death, and robots, I knew I was going to be kind of negative, but
I don't have a hopeful outlook.
I mean,
I like season.
Yeah. I've always had issues with love, death, and robots since the very beginning of. There's a lot of great ideas here. I'm afraid that only the bad ones are gonna get.
Here's the thing.
It hasn't gotten to that.
It's an anthology in the sense of like, okay, when we record these, we can talk about each individual thing for its own amount of time. And then we can think about, oh, this is the good one, these are the bad ones. But the thing is, it's progressively getting more and more to like, oh, these group of ones were bad and then these couple were good. So then when you think about the show, you think, okay,
that's where I was going from with the
a couple of good ones
getting more mid.
But when you're like, okay, the good ones are still good. So it's like, I can't like judge the show on
Yeah.
that, but I can judge the shorts on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think we
okay.
should exercise Domino.
Yeah, we're gonna kill Domino.
Time to kill Domino before the camera battery dies. Again.
Get the L thing.
I don't have the L with me right
Yeah,
now, but we have the
we have the
lightsaber. We
lightsaber.
can whack the the case.
I did not like Domino.
Domino was very, very bad. Domino, you are not a Playa. You are in
Not
fact
a
a
player.
cringe lord.
Domino
You are the
is a
kind
Cringe
Domino
lord.
movie is the kind of movie to say, "What up, my N-word?" as a white man.
person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Domino. You said the N-word.
They didn't, but they
Prepare
could
to
have.
die.
They would have if they were.
Prepare to
This
die.
movie has white people being introduced by rap
Okay,
songs.
Do you have anything to say for yourself before I strike you down?
No.
Say the IBS thing.
IBS. They mentioned IBS.
They said IBS. We're not getting into that bit though. Kill it.
It
now.
doesn't define it.
Your
It doesn't define
IBS will define you in hell!